It's gonna be good, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be better, I can't wait. Making my move, live for the day, sing like a bird, fly like a plane. Come spill with me, Jenny D.
Hello, my beautiful people. Thank you for joining me with another episode on Spill With Me, Jenny D podcast. I am here with my guest, but before I introduce my guest here, I just want to let you know it's June. It's Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, so we're really concentrating on that. I want to thank my Spotlight supporters for June. I have Ed Meyer. Ed Meyer is the owner and CEO of Tri-State Office Furniture. Thank you so much. And I have Dion Malish, who is the owner of Reality One Gold Standard. Thank you to both of you. And St. Clair Hospital, St. Clair Health, thank you so much for sponsoring me for the year. I appreciate all that. So I am just, excited to have Jen here, because Jennifer, we're both Jens. We're both Jen, Jenny, Jennifer.
I'm Jennifer.
Yeah.
She's Jenny.
I know. Now I'm Jenny. I was Jenny in high school. It's so weird. So now I'm back to being, Jenny again. But I met Jennifer probably, we've been kind of like passing through like different networking groups or different like events. And I'm like, I'm looking on LinkedIn. I'm like, I need to have her on. And then when she spoke at one of these, I don't know how you do that 1 minute elevator speech.
Right. The commercial.
I was like, wait a minute. She would be perfect for June because of what she does. Jennifer, introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers.
Of course, my pleasure. As Jenny said, my name is Jennifer Thayer. I am a registered nurse, a certified senior advisor, as well as a certified dementia practitioner. And I am blessed to say that I am truly living my why. Yeah. Every day is different, and I'm very passionate about helping our older adults.
How did you get into this? Like, did you go to school like thinking, I'm going to get into...
Heck no, not at all.
That's how we're all like thinking, right?
Yeah. So I've always been a helper. That's who I am. Yeah. I want to help people. And I have a degree in psychology, and that serves me well in what I do now, but I just didn't want to keep going to school. And with psychology, you really need to be able to pay your bills, yes. Honestly. And I still wanted to help people, and I decided to go back to school in my early 30s to become a nurse. And my family thought I was crazy because, I really didn't even like the sight of blood.
I know.
I almost passed out a couple times. I'm like, what?
My mom's a nurse, or she's retired, but she was a nurse.
She's still a nurse. Once
That's
a nurse,
true.
always a nurse.
You're right. She is. She's always telling, Jennifer.
Yep.
But it's, she always told me, like, you should get into nursing. And I said, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do a shot. I can barely get a shot for myself.
No, nursing is amazing because you can truly change what you're doing in nursing every single year for an entire career. If you wanted to,
right.
There's just so many different opportunities.
I can't believe that you're so right about that, Jennifer, because I didn't even think about that. Like, if you think of nursing, and we need nurses.
Absolutely.
Oh my
gosh. There's a shortage.
There's such a shortage. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to school, we would love to have more nurses.
Yes.
And nurses are the ones you see first. They're the ones that you kind of talk to more than the doctor, when you go to the office.
Yes.
But when you went into nursing, did you specialize in this kind of care with senior care or dementia?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. When you start in nursing school, it's very general. And just since I've become a nurse, which has been more than 20 years ago, it has become more specialized, but nursing school is still pretty general and basic and covers it all. And then once you get out there and you're a baby nurse and you're working in the hospital, then you tend to be pulled in a direction that speaks to you.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that. Now, did you go to school here in Pittsburgh?
I did.
Okay.
I went to UPMC Shadyside School of Nursing.
Oh, nice. So you are a Pittsburgher.
I am.
You don't have that Pittsburghese.
I know. I'm not so much a Yinzer, but I'm certainly a Pittsburgher. Yeah.
When I first got out of college, I was a broadcast major, and I went to a radio station, and they were like, You got to get rid of the Pittsburgh East. And I was like, I can't.
No.
Because I did say top of the hour. I was saying top of the hour.
I love it.
But I don't hear that from you. So that's why I always love to ask my guests, like, are you from here? Did you move here? So you have been, now are you from the South Hills, North Hills?
I'm from more of the North Hills. I actually grew up more in the East.
Okay.
In Apollo, Pennsylvania. It was really crazy. I lived in Washington Township. Our phone number was Vandergrift, and my address was Apollo.
Wow. I don't even think I've ever even been over there.
Yeah.
Like, how far is that from here? Because I'm in the South Hills.
A better frame of reference is probably like 45 minutes from Pittsburgh, northeast of Pittsburgh.
It's interesting to meet people because, I'm from this area, but sometimes I don't venture out. I don't like to go too far.
Yeah.
Because it's just the traffic and, whatever. But Pittsburgh is so great.
It is. And ironically, as I was driving to meet up with you today, I was driving here and I was just thinking, I don't really come this way.
Yeah. Right. I was going to say.
And I was struck by there are so many towns and almost like quaint little villages, if you will, as you're going through Western Pennsylvania.
Right, and there is, and it's such a, a beautiful, like, I just love living here.
Me too.
We moved when I first got married, we moved to New Jersey, we were like running around Ohio, and I was like, we got to get back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
This is where my roots are,
Yep.
But so when you went back to nursing school, where did you go to one of the hospitals around here to start, like?
Yes, after nursing school, I started as a baby nurse at UPMC Shadyside.
Okay.
And I've done everything on the inpatient side of things.
Right.
I've done medical, surgical, cystic fibrosis, all of the lungers, peritoneal dialysis, where I was the nurse that wherever that individual was that was doing peritoneal dialysis, I had to go to them and do that peritoneal dialysis for them.
You're using big words, Jennifer.
Okay, the peritoneal dialysis is PD, if that helps. And peritoneal dialysis, or PD, is an alternate way to do, to change out. Now I'm stumbling myself.
No, I know what you're talking about. Like, is it liver for your liver? Dialysis?
No, it's actually for your kidneys.
Oh, your kidneys.
Yes. So you can do that when you go to a center for dialysis with your blood, or you can do it with dialysate, which is what's used for PD.
Wow. See, I told you, I was telling Jennifer off air, I said, I'm going to learn so much from you because, we've met a couple of times, but I don't know the full story about, like, why you started, what made you. So as you're doing nursing, what made you, like, shift into, like, senior care and dementia care? Like, what made you, like, shift into that?
So I do have to share my favorite
oh, yes, please.
Piece of inpatient nursing was being on the hematology oncology unit doing stem cell transplants for all the folks that have blood cancers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that field has just grown tremendously. And when I was still there on 7 West, we were starting to do CAR T infusions, which is essentially taking the individual cells and modifying them and then giving them back to them. It's just insane how things have gotten better and better.
And don't you feel like in our medicine here in Pittsburgh, like our hospitals, the research that's happening here, everybody that's here, I feel like we get a lot done here. People want to come here.
Yes, we are on the forefront.
Yes.
And especially as it relates to finding that cure for Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yes.
There's a ton of research that's done here, and people don't even realize it.
No, I know. And I've been learning so much about this. Like Jennifer and I were talking off air, and I was like, doing this month of June of Alzheimer's, Brain Awareness Month, I'm learning so much. Now, my grandmother died of it. She had it. I was telling my other guests last week, I was in middle school. So this is when it first kind of came about, and my mom was taking care of her. My mom was going to nursing school, so she was taking care of my grandma. We'd go over there. And I remember Stacy Smith from KDKA, which a lot of people were like, came to our house to interview my mom and my uncle because they were taking care of their mom. And it was like one of those things where people didn't talk about it. They didn't know about it. It wasn't a lot of information. Now, I feel like, here we are in 2026, and the the research and the technology and the things that we have become. But I removed myself so much from that because, after my grandmother passed away, and she had it for 5 years, and watching her, just not.
It's heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking. My mom had a bath, or she had to, do her hair, and she didn't know who we were. It was just so hard to watch that, and I was like, what is going on? And as I was talking about our hormones as women too, because do you see that most women get Alzheimer's and dementia?
Yes, women are disproportionately affected by Alzheimer's and the dementias, of which there are more than 100. The number varies depending on who you talk to, but certainly more than 100 different types of dementia.
What do you think? Why do you think that is? I feel like I
think it's a combination of,
Because I was talking to somebody when we were talking about estrogen, and that's a whole different, but with women and their hormone changes, like a lot of that, because I remember before I started the patch, my brain fog, I felt like I had dementia, and I was in my early 50s, and I was like, I cannot remember what I was going to go to, what I just said to somebody I was talking. It was driving me crazy.
Sure. Yeah.
And I thought, I can't be the only one that's going through this. But then once I started taking my estrogen and started taking care of my health, I was like, okay.
Things turned around.
Yeah, it turned around.
Great.
So, I'm not being like, a spokesperson for the estrogen patch, but I'm just saying this is what worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
part of it for women having the higher numbers being disproportionately affected by Alzheimer's and dementia is partially because we live longer. Statistically, women live longer than men do. So just by that natural course of having a longer lifespan,
that's so
you're more prone to,
I used to think this, Jennifer, I don't know if this is true. I used to think everybody's going to get dementia eventually as they age.
No. And dementia is not a normal part of aging. Okay. It is not. Forgetfulness, that can happen, certainly, but there's a big differentiation between misplacing something and having dementia.
Right, and I didn't realize there were so many different forms of dementia. Like it's not, and I was like, wait, I didn't even know any of this.
Yeah.
When I was in middle school and my grandmother had Alzheimer's, I didn't really, pay attention to it. I was just like, oh, she's old. That's why, you get that. And now that, I've seen the research and see what's going on and hearing so much about it and all the money that they're putting into trying to find this cure.
Yes.
Now they have a blood test. I heard that. So
yes.
I was going to say, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the blood test is a miracle in and of itself, that it can detect whether someone will have dementia or not.
Oh my gosh.
And they're realizing that folks that end up with dementia, the changes in the brain are actually happening 10 and 20 years before they're actually diagnosed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So when do you think someone should get the blood test?
I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I say that at least, 3 dozen times a week. I think early detection is key.
Yes. Anything. Yes.
Anything. If something is continuing to happen, that forgetfulness just isn't normal forgetfulness like you and I have, then I would absolutely have a conversation with your doctor sooner rather than later, because being proactive is the key.
Yes.
And we do have
proactive. I love that.
Yes. Proactive as opposed to reactive.
Yes. Don't wait for it to show up.
Right. Right.
If you see, you know yourself, you know your body, you know what you're, I've noticed, with my mother-in-law, she will remember things from 20 years ago, but she won't remember yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought that's really bizarre. How do your brain works, and I wish I knew more about that. Like you said, we're not doctors, but we hear so much, but it's just fascinating to know that she remembers things from 20 years ago, but not recent.
Yeah. And it's sad because those that are caring for someone that has a dementia diagnosis, they don't necessarily have the education to understand that over time, because the disease is terminal and it progresses over time, yes, folks become more childlike, and they also remember things from childhood and high school and in those early years. So something that's very powerful is music.
Really?
Music can take someone back to that place and time in a second, and you can see their face light up.
I'm thinking
It's
about
priceless.
that movie. Don't tell me.
I'm not thinking of it, so I can't tell you.
It's a book too. It's going to drive me crazy.
Is it Remember Alice?
No, but
No?
it shows that the progression of, like, she is in an assisted living or a senior home, and she doesn't remember how to play the piano. All of a sudden, she remembers how to play the piano.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I can't believe I can't think of what it's called.
Was
It's one
it-
of my
is it
favorites.
newer?
No. It's
Okay,
older. It's older.
okay.
It's older. And they go from, like, they're a young couple, and then they end up, getting together, and then he takes care of her, and then he ends up, I don't want to tell you the end of the story, but oh my gosh, it's going to come to me.
Okay.
It's going to come to me.
Okay, you
But
let me know when it does.
It's one of those stories where you're just like, oh my gosh, like, she remembered when the music was playing.
Yeah.
When you said that.
Yeah.
It's so, it's so, I was talking to somebody about this too, like, you should exercise your brain a lot. You should do, like,
Absolutely.
crossword puzzles, or game
Sudoku.
shows.
Yeah, puzzles, just regular puzzles. In a lot of the senior living communities, you'll see puzzle tables just randomly everywhere, and folks will stop and do a few pieces of the puzzle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, going back to why did you get into dementia care and senior?
Well, I had done quite a few things as a nurse, and then I got tired of corporate America. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And still wanted to be a nurse and still wanted to help people. And a friend of mine is also a franchise broker. And so we talked through things, and I explained, my passion for helping. And ultimately, I purchased my job, Assisted Living Locators, which is a national franchise.
Okay, it's national.
Yes, there's more than 180 franchises, and we are in 43 states.
Wow.
So I'm fortunate to be able to help folks if they live here, but maybe they're moving, transitioning, let's say, to California to be closer to their family.
Yeah.
I can connect them with an advisor there, and vice versa. But here's where I make my biggest impact is helping friends and neighbors and friends I haven't met yet.
Yes.
Yeah, and really helping the sandwich generation.
Right.
That's the adult children that had no idea that the roles were going to reverse and they were going to be the ones caring for their parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It's one of those things where you don't know until you're in that situation, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I told my kids, I'm like, hey, FYI, you're going to be taking care of me. And they're like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
And they laugh about it. But then when you do get to that age and you see your parents aging, and you're like, wait a second here, I got to be, but you're not educated enough to know what to do.
Right.
So how long have you owned this?
4 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like me, like, COVID kind of like, so it's
Yep,
4
that was
years.
it.
And
4
so,
years.
would somebody reach out to you, or like, how do you get people to come to you, or do you find?
So I am very much boots on the ground. I am out and about because education is the key. Folks don't know that there are individuals like myself that help and want to walk alongside you through this journey. My process is to do a thorough intake with my client, and usually it's actually the adult daughter or daughter-in-law or niece. But there's men too.
Right.
I shouldn't shame the men. There are men that I work with as well. And then I identify appropriate communities, if that's what's appropriate. Because I've also surrounded myself with power partners, like if they need perhaps companion home care.
Oh yes, so you can direct them.
Yeah.
Excuse me. In
Yes.
the right direction.
All other services, any service that helps me serve our seniors better is included in my power partner toolbox, if you will. So I then arrange tours And then I meet my clients and family at the community and let the community spotlight their community. And I just kind of take a back seat and advocate for my client and family. And then once my client moves into the community, that's when the fun really begins for me.
Yes.
Because I follow all of my clients through the end of life. Oh. And it's priceless. Our older adults have so much wisdom and knowledge to share, even the folks with dementia. If you just sit with them.
You're going to make me cry.
Oh, my goodness. It's amazing.
It's amazing because it's like, I think our patience and the way we are like, oh my God, what's wrong with them? Why aren't they remembering? Or what's, and when they fall into that, I know someone that just recently had to put her mom in a place, and her mom's like, okay, I'm ready to go home now. And she's like, well, we will see. She keeps telling her, we'll see, but her mom's having so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because she's like, they go places. They went to the bar again.
Absolutely,
They had like, I don't even know, it might be the same place that, we're talking about with your place. And she said, she can have a beer and like, they have, the meals are so good and they have like activities. They have so much to do.
And there's a stigma there, certainly, that the communities are like the facilities were in yesteryears, like nursing homes, and very clinical and sterile, and that. And they are not.
You're right.
They're amazing. And the folks that live in these communities thrive because they're getting the help they need, as well as those 3 meals a day.
Right.
They have happy hour, because a huge component that we've learned is that people need people.
People need people.
Even those that say, I don't need anybody, I'm my own best friend and stay away from me, they still do better in a community, even if they're not necessarily participating, just being alongside others.
Right.
Or in the same dining room or things like that.
Yes, and it's so hard, and I think of like, some people that I know that they don't want to leave their home.
Exactly.
They're like, I'm not leaving they don't know what's out there. That's the thing. Like,
exactly.
They don't realize that they can prolong their life expectancy even more by being around other people, kind of keeping themselves busy, because being home alone is just, it's not helping your brain.
It's not healthy.
No.
And I hear that multiple times every day, that my parents aren't going to leave, and I said, well, let me be the bad guy. You're already the bad guy in a sense that you're talking to me.
Right.
So I love to meet my clients very early on, and I love to get them into a community to see that it is not what they envisioned. So meeting them where they're at, in their home, and respecting that they don't want to leave their home, and validating that.
Right.
And then slowly bringing them on board with me. Then once they move into a community, whether it's a memory care community or just a assisted living community, they start thriving. And they do amazing.
Don't you love that,
yes,
Jennifer?
the music to my ears is, why didn't we do this sooner?
I know, I know, and that's so hard, because we, as a society, we're just so like, I don't want to leave my home, but your home is not where. I'm trying to say it, I don't even know the words for it, but I think a lot of people think, well, I spent, my time in this house, I get so many memories in this house. But the memories will come with you. It's
Absolutely.
not like you're leaving, it's just it's a structure.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
and you bring those things, photos and the memories, as you said, and other things with you that are most important to you.
Right. And you have care there too.
Absolutely.
So if you are home alone and you're having some, your daughter or whatever, somebody coming in every once in a while, but they're not there all day because they can't be there all day. At least you have that.
Right. And the family of the one who's living in a senior living community, they have the peace of mind.
Yes.
That you're safe and you're cared for.
Right. Yeah, because that was scary, because when I talked to my one friend, and she was saying that her mom was driving and she didn't know how to get back home.
Yeah.
Or she lost, her house keys and she didn't know how to get. So it was like, okay, it was starting to happen, and she knew, and she was like, all right, this is not good.
Right.
But until she took her to a place and they walked around and saw the different things, then her mother was like, okay. I'm going to do,
Yeah.
But she's still kind of she'll have her days where she's like, okay, just let me know when we're going to go back home, because I think with that, but she said when she's there, sometimes it's like she is having so much fun.
Yes. Yes.
She's like, oh, it's Mexican night, or, they're doing this tonight,
Yes.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know why, we don't kind of push that as we get to a certain age, even being in a community of other people. I see a lot of people go right to Florida.
Right.
When they're retired.
Yes.
They're retiring.
And there are a lot of senior living communities in Florida because folks go to Florida, as you mentioned, but then they need help.
Right.
73% of older adults will need help at some point. Yeah, that's a huge number. So there are lots of senior living communities, and the key is to be proactive.
Yes, I love that. That was so
proactive
right.
as opposed to reactive. When you are reactive, it's more stressful. There are less options.
Right.
You're under a time crunch. And
right, if you get to that, if you're going to do it before things get really bad, then you're like you said, you're being proactive. If you're at that state where you're like, oh my gosh, we got to get out of here now, then things are not going to go as well as you plan. Right. You've got to take your time. You got to sell the house, or you got to do this. Pack up the things, and that you're so right, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Like it's being prepared for
Yes.
this.
Yes.
And my dad, he might be listening, but my dad lives alone, and I always say to him, like, Dad, but he doesn't want to leave his house. I'm like,
Dad,
I know.
you and I are going to chat.
Yeah, he goes to the meadows and stuff like that. Now, he's still like, he knows what's
And
going
so does
on.
the activity vehicle and the community. They go to the meadows and they do amazing outings.
Yes, and I'm like, Dad, I'm actually going to see him. And I'm like, Dad, you should just at least go see it, And I think that their biggest thing too is the money, or what are they going to do with their home, or you know what I mean? Like I think that's the biggest thing.
It is expensive. Senior living is expensive, for sure.
Right.
Here in Western Pennsylvania, more often than not, folks have that home that they've lived in for many, many decades, and that is their asset that's going to help them if they need to be in a senior living community.
If they sell it, they can get some money for that.
Yeah.
I heard this a long time ago. I don't know if this statistic's still true, but we have the oldest population in
We're number
Pittsburgh.
2.
We're number 2.
Yep.
Thank you, because I thought I was like, wait, is that
Yeah.
was a long time ago when I heard that, because a lot of people don't leave. They stay there forever, which
They do.
tells you about our
Exactly.
our place. We have a wonderful, we're just good people here,
Right.
and that's why everybody loves to be here. But tell me a little bit about your story. Like, why, did you have anybody near you or close to you that had dementia?
Yes. So my personal story is that.
And you don't have to share if you don't want to.
No. I love to share. It's not easy to share, but it's important. My mom and dad, they got married when they were 16 and 17.
It sounds like my grandparents.
They had to.
Yeah.
And in the state of Pennsylvania, you couldn't even legally get married with parental consent. So my grandparents took my parents to Richmond, Virginia. They still needed parental consent, but they got married. Wow. And then fast forward 5 children later, and parents are in their 60s, and they grew up together. That's an important part of the story. So they're codependent, and in their 60s. And my dad, one day I was in their home, I realized he couldn't remember the steps to make a pot of coffee. Oh. He was struggling. And as a nurse, and knowing everything that I do know about Alzheimer's and the different dementias, I couldn't believe that was the first real sign that I was seeing.
Yes.
But I think it was because my mom helped him, compensated for him.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm certain for a time didn't even realize it. And when I say a time, I mean years.
Right.
Years, because hindsight's always 20/20. So when someone gets a diagnosis, I always ask them, okay, you were diagnosed in 2026. When do you think you started seeing signs and symptoms? And it's usually a good 5 to 8 years before. But no one should beat themselves up about that.
No, because you don't know. So
Yeah.
You're not with them every day.
Exactly.
And like your mom was there doing
Exactly.
most of it.
So my father was then diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and my mom was doing the best to be his primary caregiver. When the disease started, he was 6 foot tall and about 240 pounds, and she was less than 5'5". And as things continued, he was then falling, and she couldn't get him up. You know, he'd fall in the shower or wherever.
Oh my gosh.
And so he was then in a memory care community, and he passed on
sorry.
May 1st, 2013. And it was beautifully horrific to see that. And then fast forward 10 years, and my mom was living in an independent living community, and independent, self-sufficient, still driving her car, living her best life. And she didn't get her newspaper on December 4th of 2023. And that concerned her neighbors and her friends, because in these senior living communities, those neighbors become really good friends,
so
and they
like
look out
by
for
her
each
door?
other. Yeah.
Okay.
So they alerted the staff, and the caregiver went in and found that my mom was down. And of course, they called me immediately after calling 911 and getting the ambulance. And I met her at the hospital, and she was in the emergency room. And I was walking towards her. She was in a gurney in the hall. And my mom said, "Have you seen your dad yet today?" And Jenny, it broke my heart.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure I heard her. I knew what she said, but I wanted to make sure. And I said, "I'm sorry, what'd you say?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Have you seen your dad yet today?" And I just said, "No, I haven't seen him yet," just very casually, because that's the other thing with the dementias. You have to go into their world.
Right.
And the worst thing I could have said was, "Mom, Dad died 10 years ago."
Yeah, right.
You know, that's not helpful.
No. Because they become angry too, don't they?
Yeah. And I knew, being a registered nurse, I knew immediately that, number one, my mom had had a stroke, and secondary to that stroke, she had vascular dementia.
Vascular,
from
yes. I've heard of vascular.
Yeah. And so then, knowing what I know, and because of what I do, we got her into personal care after the hospital and all of that. Then she was getting help in the senior living community. And then I brought hospice on, because they are an underutilized, tremendous service.
My mother-in-law is using hospice.
All paid for by Medicare.
It's almost a year now she's
Yeah,
been doing it.
absolutely. And there is a misconception that you don't have hospice, and you don't even say that word until someone is
dying.
is literally taking their last breaths.
Right.
And that is not the case. It's a tremendous service. My father was on hospice for almost a year when he passed. My mom's progression was more rapid. So she was down December 4th of 2023. I started hospice in February, and she passed on June 30th of 2024. But phenomenal, underutilized service.
My mother, actually, when we were talking about this before, my mother is a nurse. I said was, and then
yes, I corrected her. Once a nurse, always a nurse.
And it's so true. She's so true. And she worked for hospice. And she would get calls in the middle of the night. She would get, nurses, somebody needs help, families. And she loved it because she met so many wonderful families. And she said people don't realize this care is, I'm not going to say free, but it basically, it is.
Yeah. It's all paid for by Medicare.
Right.
The durable medical equipment, the hospital bed. Absolutely. Even the medications that are prescribed that are related to what the individual is on hospice for, those medications are even covered.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a huge benefit, not only for the individual that's under the hospice care, but for the family.
Yes.
The family gets support that is so necessary.
Yeah, because right now, like with my mother-in-law, the nurses will come in, they'll check on her. They can even bathe them if you want, because, my father-in-law is 81. so it's hard for him too.
Sure.
But it's one of those things. You're right. People don't realize it's out there, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, you can't call hospice until that's. I think that's the hardest thing, Jennifer, is when we get to that point, like you were saying about your parents, and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's rapidly coming about, and sometimes you don't see the signs when you're not seeing that every day. So it's like, what do you do first? Like that's why I feel like our generation is like, trying to say like, what do we do first? Like, should I get her tested? Should I do? Because my mother, she was a young mom too. She's in her 70s, and she was, her mother died of Alzheimer's. So I'm like, I wonder if we should check and see. Now her oldest sister, my mom's oldest sister, is 95, and she goes in and out, but she got her wits about her still. She's in an assisted living, and she'll be like, she'll talk about like she's on Instagram. Like
that's amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But then I'm thinking, well, I don't know. Did my mom's sister get tested for that, or should my mom's a lot younger than her? I think that's what's so hard about the audience that's listening is, when is that time where we should say, you know what, like, let's just get a gauge. Let's see how you're doing. You know what I mean? I don't know where to go from there.
I think the way you said it is perfect. That's the ideal, is to not wait, and perhaps get a baseline. If there aren't any overt signs and symptoms, maybe get a baseline of where you're at cognitively in your 60s. And then if things change, and then you have that same testing done, you can see,
that's true.
If there is a decline.
Okay. Because I heard it was like a written one too, like, so if you, some questions and things like that, and I thought, well, that's pretty smart.
Yes.
Because then you go back to it, and you can't answer those questions like you did before, then you can see a little bit of the signs. Yeah.
And I have an example, a great example of that. It's sad, but it's the reality. A gentleman that I started working with the end of last summer, living in his home, and he was adamant he was never going to leave his home, period. His wife had already passed. And at that point, he was still okay.
Right.
And I did try to have companion home care come into the home, and of course he fired them and threw them out. So that just was not happening. Right. But his daughter didn't live with him, but she was still his primary caregiver. And so he was tested and absolutely has Alzheimer's, but did pretty well.
Right.
And early on, folks do well.
Right.
And
sometimes it's a slow
absolutely.
Right?
It's different for everybody.
It's
absolutely unique to that individual. And for this gentleman, he did fairly well, and then we toured communities, and I at that point just wanted to get him into a personal care community, because there are lots of folks in personal care and assisted living that have a cognitive decline.
Right.
And really the deciding factor of when someone has to be in memory care is if they're an elopement risk. If they could simply walk out of their home and walk wherever and get lost or driving, that's when, if they're an elopement risk, they've got to be in a secure memory care. But if they just have
themselves or somebody else,
right. If they just have dementia, but it's early on, they can be in personal care and still get the help they need.
Right.
And have those 3 meals a day and all the activities and the socialization and everything that we talk about being so important. But this gentleman, we did tour. He was coming around a little bit, but we needed to sell his home. And so I tapped into my power partners, to my senior realtor, to start working with the family to make the modifications that were necessary to fix things for it to be on the market.
Right.
And in the spring, it was ready to sell, and he saw his doctor, his neurologist, and took the same test again, had declined slightly. And then by the time the home sold, we had picked the community, and every community has to evaluate the individual to make sure that they can meet their needs.
Oh, right.
So the nurse from each community, if there's a nurse in each community, and they evaluate those prospects that are going to become residents. And he had declined dramatically from when he had seen his PCP just 2 months before that.
Wow.
And his daughter was really taken back by that, because the data is real. The data, you know, tells the story of the progression of the disease.
Right.
And at that point, we could not put him in personal care. He had progressed too much, and he needed more help, and he was a wonder risk at that point. So he went straight to memory care.
Memory care. Okay. Is assisted living the same as memory care?
Great question.
Yeah, I was like,
no, it's not. And
Okay.
and we're very unique in the state of Pennsylvania. When I go to our national conference, no one else knows what personal care is.
Yes.
We have a license designation in our state called personal care.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. And we
Okay.
also have a license called assisted living. And the last time I checked, there were only, in the entire state, 49 assisted living communities.
Okay.
And that means essentially all of our communities are personal care. And the difference between it is the assisted living just has some different rules and regs, and they do have more nurses. They both have nurses, but the assisted living has more stringent requirements
Yes.
as far as
You've
nursing.
got to have somebody there, you know, at all times.
Yeah.
Just in case, even like at night and
Right,
stuff like that. I
right.
didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just learning so much from you, and thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that's got to
Thank
be
you.
hard, and I think that, you know, there's probably other people out there listening that are going through this. you
Oh,
know?
for sure.
I think it's been one of those things where it's like, you know, your parents become stubborn and they don't want to they don't want to change.
Right.
They don't want to change, but they don't realize that they can prolong their life by going to one of these facilities, going to the assisted living and just finding like, oh my gosh, play poker, have fun.
Yeah.
You know, you do things, you actually do activities. You're not sitting around watching TV all day.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's even movie theaters in these communities.
Oh my gosh.
It's insane.
See, I didn't even know all this. I'm like,
Yeah,
am I
swimming
too young?
pools. Yeah, well, my husband, he'd move in a heartbeat.
Yeah, right.
You know, have the meals prepared, and
Yes.
yeah, they
Right.
clean the apartments every week. They
Oh
do the
my
laundry. Yeah,
Wait a minute, I didn't
Yeah.
know all that.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh man. See, to me right there, Jennifer, it's like that is such the burden that you have, the family members and the person that's going through this, it's all taken care of.
Right.
You know, and that's and when you get to be a senior, we should be validated, we should be, you know, this is us, we should be almost like, you know, it's our time to be kind of not spoiled, but to be treated in a way, because we, you know, you worked all your life.
Yes.
You retire, and then you get sick or something happens, and you're just like, wait a minute,
yeah,
I want to live my best life for these next so many years, you know.
yeah.
And I love what you do, because you're really.
I do too.
You're helping, and you can tell, because you know what, I want to tell you something else about Jennifer to my audience, is that we had to cancel a couple times because I'll tell you what, and this is what I love about her, because it's her passion. When she has a patient or she has someone that needs help, that's her main priority, and
Yes.
I love that. And I'm like, listen, you know, you do what you do best, and people need you, and you know they need you, and you just care so much, and that I can see the compassion, you know, the empathy that you have for so many people, because we've been through it.
Yeah.
And when you're through it, when you go through it, you can actually relate to people and talk to them about it. You
Right,
know?
right.
When you get somebody that's, you know, younger and their parents haven't been through it and they're trying to talk to you, it's like, how do you know? You know,
Right.
so you've been through it all, and
Yeah.
you've seen it, and you've helped so many other people. It's been 4 years going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So if somebody's out there, Jennifer, listening right now, and they're like, all right, how do I get a hold of her?
Call me. Please call me.
I was going to say, what is the best way to, like, should they go to tell us about the website or an email or something?
So I have one phone. It is my personal phone as well as my business phone. And that phone number is 724
Oh, wow.
972 3202. Again, my number is 724 972 3202, and call me.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times, well, it's essentially almost every time I talk with someone, that initial conversation, if we both have time to talk, you know,
Yeah.
at that moment, it's usually a little more than an hour.
Right.
And I always hear from the voice on the other end, "Oh, Thank you so much.
Yes.
I feel a little bit of relief.
Right.
And that's just a conversation.
Right.
And then we go from there. As far as my website, the website is PGH. assistedliving.com. Again, that is PGH assistedliving.com. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, my handle is Senior Living Simplicity.
Oh.
And that's actually also the name of a course that myself and another registered nurse teach for OLI, Osher's Lifelong Learning Institute.
Yeah. Say that again. Senior Living
Simplicity.
Simplicity.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, and that's on Instagram. Mm-hmm. I love it. You're on all these socials and stuff. I don't know how you keep up.
Well, I don't do a really good job. So if anyone messages me on Facebook, I'm not great at keeping up with that. I absolutely do, but I need to do better.
Well, I'm the same way. I feel like I have so many Facebook pages. I don't even know how. But I feel like that too, like, to answer everybody. But Facebook is kind of like our generation. You know, like I feel like that's,
right.
Instagram is a little bit younger, but, I'm, moving my way in there. But,
same.
Because, you got to get the younger audience too.
Right.
Because guess what? They're going to be going through this.
And those on Instagram, I found, my data would reflect that the younger, it's more like they're outreaching me for their grandparents. Right. Whereas those that find me on Facebook, it's for their parents.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so there's so many forms of social media, but yet your website and, geez. So this Assisted Living
Locators.
I love that.
And I will help anybody. I have clients that live in Erie, Pennsylvania, all the way down Washington County, so all of Western Pennsylvania. My mobile office goes to the North Hills every day, but I'll help wherever the help is needed. Yeah.
Jennifer, I've learned so much sitting here, and just having you do this is taking so much of like the burden off of the loved ones that are trying to navigate and trying to figure it out, because it is new to us. We don't know how to, how to prepare,
right.
how to like really talk to our parents. And like you said, sometimes, and I know it's probably going to happen to me too, but you turn it kind of like childlike, and you don't want to you're like, no, I'm stubborn, I'm not leaving, I want to stay here. And I do, when we get off the air, I do have some people I need you to talk to. And I'm sure there's other people out there that need Jennifer's assistance.
And I welcome the opportunity. Let's start with a conversation, and no pressure.
And she has
help.
such an ease about her, just sitting here with her. If you're listening and not watching us on YouTube, Jennifer's one of those people too. She makes you feel at ease. Like I feel so comfortable with her. We're starting to really get to know each other. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it must be the name.
Yeah, that's
it's
it. Clearly.
Is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you wanted to mention?
Just the Alzheimer's Association. Yes. I'm very, very passionate about the Alzheimer's Association, and I'm a community educator for them. And last year I raised $20,000 for the Alzheimer's Association.
Did you do the walk?
And yes.
It's for the walk?
Yes.
Okay.
And this year, we got to up the ante. So my goal this year is $30,000. The walk is at a different location this year. It is October 17th, but it is at Flagstaff Hill. Registration is at 9 a.m. And I would welcome everybody listening to join my team, to raise funds for my team so I can get to that 30,000. I'm already at about 13,000.
That's amazing, and it's June.
Yeah.
This is not till October.
Right.
Wow.
And those that just want to make a difference and have a few extra dollars, please, go to my Alzheimer's landing page and make a donation.
Yeah, you don't realize how many people you're helping.
Yes.
With the research and.
Our goal for Pittsburgh is $1 million.
Wow.
And we raised, I think it was over $800,000 last year.
Wow. Are we the biggest here in PA with the Alzheimer's Association?
Yes.
I thought so. I thought we were one of the biggest ones here.
Yeah. And we do the most research, and our dollars stay here.
I love that.
Yes.
That
Yes.
really means a lot to have the dollar stay here. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, thank you so
Yeah,
much. So
thank you.
They can go on the Alzheimer's Association to join your team?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there are lots of
Pittsburgh, yeah.
on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram, there are links to get to my web page as
Okay.
well as QR codes.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the easiest way to get a hold of me is 724-972-3202.
Yes. I know my phone number is on Google. Like, you can call me. I
Well,
don't care.
and corporate said when I purchased my franchise, they said, do not put your personal phone number out
I
there.
know.
It's been out there since day
Right.
one.
Yeah.
I
don't
even
want to have
had
two
it.
phones.
I had it on my car as well, and
Yeah.
no one took advantage of that. So don't start now.
No,
but-
I know, right. I know, knock on wood.
Yeah,
I felt the
but
same
certainly
way
call
too.
me.
Yeah, because that's when they need that help,
Mm-hmm.
and you're one of those people that are just, you'll do all you can do to really help people find that place.
Yeah, it's
that
my
they're
joy.
comfortable with. Yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh, Jennifer. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
being
I
here.
appreciate
I-
this opportunity
listen,
and the time we've
I appreciate your
shared.
time, because she is very busy, and what she's doing is she's helping so many people. And I appreciate you sharing with my audience, because I know that there's some people out there listening that will need you.
Yeah,
If
and
they
the
don't-
sooner the better.
the sooner,
let's
the
be
better.
proactive.
Yes, that should be our title.
Yeah,
Proactive.
proactive, not reactive. Yes,
That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you all. This was another episode of Spill With Me, Jenny D. Take care.
Come spill with